If you're looking for a how-to-tank guide along the way this late in the season, and that is your objective, well, look no further than the Utah Jazz on the other side, opposite the 76ers tonight, because while the Sixers were down 16 early on in the game, they fought back, pushed themselves into a big double-digit lead, also allowed the Jazz back into it, but in the end, as Zach says here in the chat right away, awful, because the Sixers pick up their 22nd win of the campaign, 126-122 over the Jazz. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Alongside Rich Hoffman, I'm Devon Givens. Bree is with us. All of you in the chat ready to vent and get it off your chest. It looked good early, folks. Down 16. Utah shooting the lights out of the basketball in South Philadelphia. And you're looking at this one saying, they got this one in the bag. Even with Oubre and Grimes and Drummond out there to start the game, there's no way that the 76ers will come back. Yes, but still win the game. But things flipped, and they actually did win this basketball game. So this one was an interesting one because if you're on the side of just simply, all right, they're going to win some games, let me not get carried away. Rich and I have said this already, that no matter how many games they have left, they're going to win a few here and there. And yes, it's the Utah Jazz. You want to beat a team like this one. I mean, you want to lose to a team like this one. But they are a 15-win team for a reason. And that's with, as the number of players that we listed during the pregame, this was about 10 players out.
This is a husk of a 15-win team.
Exactly, yeah. So this was going to happen. This is going to happen. So we're going to talk about a win. Sure, Vent, tell us how you feel about the fact that they did win. Winona's already in there. Yes, sir, Sixers. Well, we told you in the pregame, probably going to win this game, and they did win this game. Lonnie Walker, Kelly Oubre, Bona, all those guys that played really well. We're going to talk about them all here as the 76ers pick up the W. We'll check in with Colin Derrick from the arena. We will give our player of the game a little bit later as well and just have some fun talking about the Sixers. Fronting them to back-to-back, by the way, folks. They're in Atlanta tomorrow, 7:30 tip time, 7:30 pregame for us. Rich, right away, just your initial thoughts for how this one played out.
It was a disastrous weekend in the tank wars, Devon. A disastrous weekend after the unfortunate events that happened with Brooklyn and Toronto last night.
Yes.
Snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, those teams. But I have to say, Danny Ainge, hat tip to you, sir.
Hat tip to you, my man.
Sometimes you just have to recognize greatness. And, you know, I do think the league should, Adam Silver, you should investigate what is going on in Utah. But no, you know what, man? The Sixers won the game. You mentioned that Utah was down 10 guys tonight, or whatever it was.
However many.
A million. And it was it wasn't exactly the way we thought, but it does make sense when you think about it. Because when you lose all of those players, okay, some guys at the bottom of your rotation, the Isaiah Colliers, the Filipowskis, guys who were playing anyway, they step up into the starting lineup. And like you said, those guys started off the game and they were pretty darn good tonight. They were spacing the floor. Drummond had a lot of trouble with Filipowski. That was half of the Bet365 parlay tonight. You hit that in one quarter, man. He was on fire. He was spacing the floor.
Yeah.
So the starters were actually NBA caliber players. They were pretty good. But the Sixers won this game tonight when they turned it over to the bench. And particularly Lonnie Walker, Jared Butler, and Bona, I would say, they were overwhelming. You know, it's been a lot of this year. The Sixers bench has been a reason that they have lost the game. They did roughly what we asked of them tonight, right? They play the bench, heavy minutes, give guys like Bona a lot of tick. And when you look at it, you know, I think that first stretch when Doughton comes in, he starts running some pick and roll and it starts getting going. They sprinkle in a little bit of Grimes, a little bit of Edwards at times, but it was mostly those bench guys that overwhelmed the Jazz, and they are the reason that the Sixers built up a big cushion that gave away a lot of that cushion at the end. It got a little bit interesting at the end. I guess we could talk about those last 3 minutes, which took, 25 minutes in real time. at the end. But the reason they built up such a big lead, what was the biggest lead of the game? Like 23, 24 points, something like that. They built up a very big lead. And
22.
It was on the strength of those young bench guys who we want to see more of. They were just better than the Jazz tonight. I think that was clearly the reason that the Sixers picked up a win. And that's why, me personally, I understand why it is a tough loss in the tank wars. I don't know. They did what I asked them to do, right? Just play the young guys. Let's see them play more. And yeah, they won. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, we've also asked them to be competitive and see how they play out. They were competitive. You said you wanted to see a lot of Jared Butler. You got the Jared Butler part. You saw what Edwards and Bona did as well. And we can't ignore what Lonnie Walker, obviously, just fantastic in his best game as a Sixer off the bench with a double-double tonight of 25 and 11. His 11 rebounds led all rebounders tonight on the glass from the guard wing position. So fantastic work by him. So as we talked about in the pregame, this is what we asked for. We wanted to see what these guys did. And this is probably going to be one of their better nights where you see this type of production from these players on the floor. So you look at 64 points from the bench. If my math is correct, I'm just doing it right now.
Every one of them was good too. Every one of them contributed.
64 from the double-digit score. Sorry, because right away I'm looking at it. Then there's 8 from you got
it's even more.
78 from the bench tonight, including Ricky Council and Alex Reese, who did not reach double-figure scoring.
But they were good.
But they were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ricky did some Ricky
well.
did things that you saying, Rick, Rick.
Rick. That's well put, Devon.
Rick. And then you have Alex Reese doing a couple of things with trying to dunk on somebody. He gets a block shot, knocks down a 3. Just doing stuff. So
doing non-Alex Reese
and
stuff.
Non-Alex Reese things.
3 steals.
So as we acknowledge that these players, this is again what we ask for. We want to evaluate these players. Tonight they were playing a team that is worse than they are right now. And again, if we're going to hat tip anybody and there's a guide to how to tank, Danny Ainge is the guy that we're going to continue to make that guide up and post it on social media for everybody to see as to how to do it. But Rich, when we look at this way, we said we want to see these guys. We said we want to see how and they played out and they won the game. Tomorrow, going to be much tougher on the second night of a back-to-back. Number one, and you're playing an Atlanta Hawks team who's fighting for positioning and seeding in the Eastern Conference playoff standings. But when you look at what they're doing right now for the 76ers, I mean, this is probably going to be the best we see from those reserves as we go along the way.
Because of the opponent.
More often than not, it's not going to be you'll see good. It may not be this good.
Yeah. I guess let's start with the guy that really stood out to me. And I think probably the guy that even the heavy tankers would say, let's see a little more of this kid. Let's see him play. And that is Bona, who has not really been playing a ton. First off, I really enjoy that every time Bona goes up to block a shot, he says, "Give me that." And then he says another word.
Or next,
I'm not going to say it because of our TV contracts that we have. But give me that.
Thank you, Fast.
Yeah. Anyway, the NBA mics, they really catch Bona. I enjoy his exuberance. He was so I think a big reason they won tonight, man, was when they ran pick and roll, particularly with Bona. And do you remember in like late December, Bona was starting to get some chemistry with Maxey.
Yes.
When Maxey was playing with him. Particularly when they were running pick and roll with Bona, but also when they had Yabu in the game and had him stretching the floor, they got whatever the hell they wanted. Like Jared Butler was back at Baylor. It might have been even easier than Baylor. Like he was finding shooters on the weak side, whether that's Quentin Grimes. A lot of the times, Devon, the guy that he found on the weak side, Lonnie Walker, and he would either make the 3, and we know Lonnie is a willing 3-point shooter. I mean that in a positive manner. I love that he has no conscience and he gets it up. Or he would attack the closeout and get a dunk too. I just thought both the transition, they got very easy looks, but this is the easiest they're going to get looks in the half court all night. You saw it there was that one look away pass that Grimes had. This was off the dribble handoff to Bona, where Bona's just, look away off a dribble handoff. Bona rolls, just tears the rim down on a dunk. And there was a bunch of that tonight, whether it was finding the roll man or spraying it out to shooters. They got whatever they wanted. And these guys off the bench, they deserve credit. Like Doughton was getting whatever he wanted. He finished, I'm looking at it right now. Butler finishes with 9 assists on the night. And I think that goes to show, like, he really was under control. They were not giving him very difficult looks to try and figure out, all right, are we switching? No, they mostly were in drop coverage, and he was just doing whatever. He had 9 assists, Lonnie with 5 assists, Grimes with 6 assists, just spraying the ball all over the place, and that's the big reason they won.
Yeah. I mean, it was, and Bona, and I was typing something to Bree, and it's on my mind, and I was saying Adam Bonus is a joke, but Adem Bona, because of how well he played tonight, I mean, you could just see it. Even with the catches, the one thing that stands out to your point of that role man that he was tonight, there wasn't a lot of issues with his hands either.
No, he was catching them.
He was catching them. So you wonder, too, if it's just the consistent minutes. Sure, it's the opponent. That's one part of it. But he has to catch it first, and he caught them tonight. So if you look at the extended minutes, the amount of time that he had on the floor, you just think of the comfortability when these players are out there where we know that there are some flaws, there are some warts to any individual and their game. And his wart did not show tonight because he got the extended minutes. He had some success off of those types of plays. He was into it on the defensive end as well. And that just allows you to feel really, really comfortable. And with his comfortability, you saw the best out of Adem Bona tonight. From the rebounding, where he left no doubt. From the finishing at the rim, again, leaving no doubt. The block shots that he had, last I counted was 4. I don't know what he ended up with. He ended up with 5 off the bench tonight. And he played 31 minutes. So career high 14 rebounds.
That's what I mean.
31 minutes tonight. He was fantastic tonight.
And Nurse stuck with him.
And he stuck with him. Andre Drummond was stuck to the bench tonight because of how well Adem Bona was playing. Now, you mentioned in the pregame, even though I did have him in the Bet365 pregame picks, you mentioned his illness. Maybe that played a little bit into it earlier than usual.
Wasn't playing good either.
But he wasn't playing good. Yeah, I mean, he had 2 quick rebounds where it looked like, hey, he might do the thing that we were looking for. He and Kyle Filipowski might get those in the first quarter, and then you could just see that Drummond did not have it tonight. But Nurse brings in Bona, sticks with him, and he paid dividends immediately, and he just kept going all evening long. By the way, finished with only 2 personal fouls. So when we talk about the hands being a problem, fouling is a problem, especially when he gets extended minutes. And there were a lot of drives to the basket tonight, despite the fact that the Jazz lost this game. They still put up 122. There were a lot of drives to the basket when he was in there. He cleaned up by getting 5 blocks. He changed a few shots. But oftentimes we'll see him also get into foul trouble. He did not. So 2 really good things on display from Bona tonight, playing against this group. That's the good hands in general on the offensive end. And then also being able to stay under control and allowing himself to be available for Nurse to keep him on the floor by only picking up 2 fouls in just under 32 minutes.
A few more cheers for him tonight in that building compared to Friday night in that building when he was at SmackDown with the belt.
He didn't have Paul George anchoring him down tonight.
No, Paul George on the bench. He could do his stuff away from him.
Right.
I mean, great line too, right? I think most of these are career highs for him, but 14 points, 14 boards, 7 on each end of the court, 5 blocks, 10 gimme that's. So he was really good. And
is 13 the high in field goal attempts?
Yeah, it's a lot of field goals.
That's a lot for him.
Yeah, I mean, he took a couple
for somebody who doesn't get plays drawn for him.
Took a couple like hook shots and stuff too. It wasn't all dunks tonight.
Yeah.
It was mostly dunks, the ones that went in. But yeah, if you look at the box score tonight, I mean, Nurse kind of did what it's a very weird box score because of the starters, you have Yabusele, only played 12 minutes. Drummond only plays 10. Oubre only plays 20. We talked about how he was getting 38 minutes. He wasn't very involved for most of the game.
And you said give him 32. He gave him 19.
Yeah, he gave him 20. I mean,
1936 to be exact.
And even Grimes and Edwards, 27 and 29. So it wasn't.
And we were surprised when they brought Grimes back in.
Yeah. Well, I think that bench unit was rolling for the most part, and so he's just like, yeah, let's just keep playing these guys. Yeah, why not? Right? They're doing well. And again, we talked about it. All 6 of them. Like Alex Reese doing well. Scott in the chat mention that, yes, Scott, he was a plus 29, Alex Reese, defensive monster.
Yes, he was.
Alex Reese, WTF. Yes, that is our WTF moment of the night, Scott. I just made that impromptu. Yeah. But seriously, he was good.
Yeah.
He almost dunked on KJ Martin too, which I didn't know he really had that in him.
Yeah, with the left.
More of a shooter, yeah. But then you have Bona, who we talked about. We talked about Butler. Dalton was good in the second quarter. We're going to get to Lonnie in a second. And Ricky was good too. It's like you said, like there was nobody on the bench who played a bad game. And that is the reason that they could not out-tank the Jazz tonight, because their bench was just a much more competent, cohesive unit tonight for one night at least.
Absolutely. And it's funny because the other side has been playing way more together than the Sixers bench when you talk about Lonnie Walker and Jared Butler being two guys that really have stepped up there tonight. So interesting one. Alex Reese, by the way, he's like a discount clearance George Niang.
The minivan.
Yeah, we got to think of a type of vehicle that he is, because he's not the minivan. All right, when we come back, we'll. Did you have your 3 takeaways? Or
yeah, we can put them.
We'll put the 3 takeaways up when we come back. We'll get into our player of the game, because I'm sure we're going to talk about him as well. Sixers win 126-122. Pick up their 22nd win of the campaign. They're now 22-41 on the year. Take on the Atlanta Hawks tomorrow in Atlanta, 7:30, 7 o'clock pregame here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show. But right now, it's the PHLY Sixers postgame show, presented by Bet365.
And Devon, let's start by talking about our new friends at Timeline. The cells in our bodies are the building blocks of life, and Timeline is a supplement that works with those cells to give you more energy. Feel stronger during workouts, preserve health and mobility as you start to age. The patented ingredient is MitoPure, a postbiotic nutrient that clears out dysfunctional mitochondria, aka your cell's battery packs. Now, that might seem like a lot of science. I was not particularly good at science in school.
Neither was
but
I.
Here are the benefits kind of spelled out more towards my liking. With regular use, you'll see and feel the difference in the form of improved energy levels, better workouts, faster recovery, more endurance, and more. I could certainly use more endurance before and after my weekly pickup game that Devon and I always talk about. And MitoPure recharges your cells and helps your body systems to work better. MitoPure is shown to deliver double-digit increases in muscle strength and endurance without a change in exercise. Is your age starting to catch up to you? Well, get ready to be your best and most energized and most revitalized self. So right now, Timeline is giving you 10% off your order of MitoPure. Go to timeline.com/PHLY today to get started. That is timeline.com/PHLY.
And I'll let everybody down tonight because Andre Drummond just flat out had to be sat down because Adem Bona was the man, and I probably should have went the Adem Bona side. And that'll tell you about Bet365 and betting him. Kyle Filipowski got us our number very early. He had 12 in the first quarter, and then he finally got to that point. He had 25 tonight. So he cleared our 15.5 very early at Bet365. But sorry, folks. My apologies on the side of Andre Drummond. Guess what? He won't be in any more going forward. That being said, when we do go forward, I need you to join us and me at Bet365, where they offer the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. Because if you did bet our Filipowski side of things and the Drummond part, and you said, you know what? Let me adjust that quickly here and go to the live in-game betting and adjust the numbers. Switch it from Drummond to Bona, adding the Filipowski number a little bit higher. You would have made sure that you hit on that one. And new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose, sign up. Use the code PHLY365 when you do. Deposit 10, place a bet for 5 to get that $150 in bonus bets. Again, win or lose. Coming up this week as well, early payout offers in the NHL and the NBA. NHL gains a 3-goal lead with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. That's the hockey side. On the basketball side, you're a winner if your team goes up by 20 points like Philadelphia did tonight with an instant payout once again on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. So once again, new customers, $150 in bonus bets when you bet 5, win or lose. Just deposit 10, Place a bet for $5. You get that $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. We had a couple of those in here when we talked about the minivan. John Peace, what up, Peace? The used minivan? Also follows up with certified pre-owned minivan.
Oh, yeah. Somebody's been listening to too many Gary Barbera commercials over the years.
Oh, man. So we appreciate that one, Peace. Thank you for sharing that one. We'll get to our super chat here shortly also. But, Bree, let's get to our player of the game if you have that one ready before we get to the other part, because this guy was fantastic. 25 points for Lonnie Walker. Again, tied for a game high with Grimes and Filipowski. He was 3 for 9 from behind the three-point line, 11 rebounds, a game best, and 5 assists as well. Lonnie Walker in the first half tonight, folks, off the bench for the Sixers, 5 points in 14 minutes and 22 seconds. He was 1 for 5 from the floor. All of those shots, that stat line right there in the field goals, were from behind the three-point line. Now, he did give you the 8 boards and the 3 assists in the first half, so he wasn't a negative. Actually, he was a plus 19, but he wasn't scoring. Richie turned it up in the second half for his 20, scoring 16 in the third quarter, and then, of course, just adding in the fourth to help close out in the 8+ minutes, 4 points for his 25 tonight. He was tremendous.
Well, and that's my point, man. Like, there are a lot of people in the chat saying, and I love all you guys too. This is not me scolding you or anything like that, but they are saying, you know, they needed to sit Grimes, they needed to sit Oubre. Those guys didn't help you win the night. The guys that,
although Grimes did have 25.
Grimes did, yeah, but he was a minus 17.
I
Like,
know,
there was a lot of losing going on when Grimes was on the court.
floor.
You're right. Grimes did actually play pretty well, which, in fairness, he always plays pretty well. So I do understand that sentiment, but the guys who really drove the winning tonight were Lonnie Walker and Adem Bona and Jared Butler. Like, you do have to play somebody at some point. Alex Reese when Alex Reese gives you good minutes, you might just get a win. Like that it might just be your night, or not your night if you're looking for the other thing.
Use minivan,
or whatever.
man.
It was a bizarre game. But yeah, Lonnie Walker was really good, and that's his second very good game in a row. I thought, initially we were both like, yeah, sure, why not give him a shot? He's got a little bit of scoring juice. He's talented. He's never completely put it together at the NBA level, but he's had stretches where he's pretty good.
He's a pro. We know that. He's a pro.
Yeah, and I think we all thought, okay, he's one of the best players that are not playing in the NBA right now. It just didn't work out for him. But when he first came over, he was pretty bad. And I think maybe some of that is jet lag and, playing European basketball, playing a completely different style, as we've seen during the summer. Those FIBA games can be completely different. I'm sure he was asked to do very different type of things. It's a much slower, much more physical game. So he didn't have his legs, but he's starting to turn it on a little bit, and he's playing better. So good for him. I hope he has a spot in the league, whether it's with the Sixers next year or not. But yeah, he was a huge reason they won that game tonight. And it was like I was saying, like, they would kick it out to him on the 3-point line, and he's like, he can really attack a closeout, man. He's fast. He can get up for dunks. He had one of the biggest plays of the game where I think the Jazz had cut it to 4 in the fourth quarter, and their transition defense was terrible. And Lonnie just goes right down the left side for a lane, and then a nice kind of cocked it to the side, and very nice dunk where he scored. So yeah, Lonnie definitely played well tonight. Bree, do you have?
By the way, player of the game brought to you as always by no one.
Kobe White. No, you guys said that the other night.
Yes, Kobe White. Last night it was actually what's my man's name from OKC? Josh Giddey.
Oh, Josh Giddey.
Yeah, he's the player of the game because he was fantastic last
Jacoby
night.
Walter.
Yes, absolutely. So brought to you by no one. All right, Bree, let's go for the 3 takeaways.
So the first one is, look, it's undeniable. We're not going to be too up in arms about it. But yes, the tank definitely hit a snag tonight. It has been a rough weekend on the tag. The engine is we need to reload it with some gas, Devon. We will be back better than ever, probably tomorrow night. As we talked about, they won because of their bench. Like that is why they won the game.
Simple.
And then number 3, Bona and Lonnie Walker, I thought were the 2 standouts. Like, give Lonnie that player of the game, but Bona very good too.
He
would have been
really
deserving.
Good. Yeah, either one, and just the fact that Lonnie did what he did in the second half and really turning it up, the 8 boards to go along with it. But Bona was fantastic with the first career double-double, career high in 14 rebounds, getting the 5 block shots, staying out of foul trouble on just under 32 minutes. Just a fantastic showing. And everybody, like Neil Deaver says, yeah, I'm sick, all that stuff. Neil, just remember, it was the Jazz. NGO, it was the Jazz. They have the Hawks tomorrow. They have all these other teams that they're going to have to play.
You don't know who NGO is? NGO is Yams.
It is Yams? Okay, yeah. All right. What's up, Yams?
You know why he's complaining about Daryl Morey again?
Yeah, he's Daryl Morey. Yeah. So, all right. We got you, NGO, Yams. Good to see you as always. Because he basically said we would.
What did you think about, how about that end sequence? Like, Justin Edwards, I know people who were.
I blamed it more on Butler.
Butler didn't catch it.
You got to catch that.
But the one thing you can't do when there's 2 seconds of the game is throw
basket.
it with no time towards your basket.
You're right.
That would be the one thing. Now, in fairness, Butler should have caught that ball. And of course, Nick Nurse makes the challenge. He has it handy. He couldn't have. I believe that ball was called out on the Sixers. And if this was Nick Nurse for 3.5 months this year, he wouldn't have had that challenge. He would have punted that thing on some ridiculous call in the second quarter. He actually had it. Nick Nurse, he also saved 2 points with a Bona goaltend, which was a pretty easy one to challenge.
It was. Yeah.
But
at first I thought it was a foul and then the block and all that stuff. But no, it was a good block.
He challenges it, and it was funny seeing the people on Twitter saying, "Nick, what are you doing? Why are you challenging that?"
Oh, remember, folks, they have 19 games left with a lot of basketball games. They're probably going to beat Toronto in one of these 2 games also. So just buckle up and get ready. By the way, Scott Sotan, our buddy, says Alex Reese is the carburetor, just to let everybody know. So there you go, as we make fun of Alex Reese and his performance out there tonight. But no, I mean.
Number 65, too.
Yeah, we were talking about that when it happened.
Strange
and I was like, yo, 65. So
big Lane Johnson fan?
They looked it up. And I think Derek said that 65 is the second time somebody's worn 65 in the Philadelphia franchise. Before it was the Sixers, and that was in like the 50s. So 65, an odd number, very odd number, and don't understand what the reasoning is. Bree, you remember what we said when we were talking about what the reasoning was and all? It's just, no idea why 65 was the number for Alex Reese, the carburetor. I don't know.
The guy, and this is a blast from the past, blast from the process past. When I think of weird Sixers numbers, I think of ALLCITY Shved.
See, I think of Jeremy Grant.
39?
Yeah.
No, mine's weirder.
Yeah.
Mine's weirder.
ALLCITY Shved, was it?
Higher than 65.
Higher than 65, ALLCITY Shved. I don't remember what number he wore.
Nor should you. I didn't remember the exact number. I knew it was weird.
70?
88. Eric Lindros.
Damn, I don't remember that. I remember when he was here, but he wasn't here very long either. So 88. Jeez. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Jeremy's 39, which was most likely because he was drafted 39th overall. All right, weird number, but I get it. It's when you were selected. 88.
Oh, yeah.
It's a football number, man. Hockey number.
He was playing like a number 88. Yeah.
Yeah, which is why he was gone pretty quickly from the league. So, all right, let's get to Jay's super chat here. Jay Flo. Well, Morey will be happy. I guess he will wonder why the fan base is angry, completely oblivious to what is really going on. Hope he is fired. Jay, it's one game.
Did you see his comments from over the weekend?
I did not. This is when he was at Sloan?
Yeah, he was at Sloan. And this is the TLDR version. Now, I only saw a minute clip of it, so okay. I don't know what he said otherwise.
Thank you, Jay.
But at one point he says, anger is all that drives Sixers fans, as far as I can tell. And he was kind of talking about the difference between how they reacted to the Boston loss and the Knicks loss the year before, where I think he was surprised that more people weren't as angry about the Knicks loss last year, which was in the first round, as the Celtics loss.
So
he was surprised that more people were like, his point was like, the team went further, they were closer to a championship.
Yeah, but see, here's my problem with Morey on that. It goes back to when he got here and they lost in the second round a couple of times under Doc Rivers, and of course when they lost to Boston. His thing continues to be, it's okay. We got to the second round. Number one, it was those other second round exits happened on someone else's watch. Now that they're here, that's a success for them to get to the second round because they saw growth within whatever their reasoning was. My problem with that is while, yes, you are not the orchestrator of the ones before you and Rivers got here, the issue is, as we talked about, which is why Jay is upset, understanding the Philadelphia market, understanding the Philadelphia fan base, not just the Sixer fan base, but the Philadelphia fan base. And in this particular case, getting to the second round multiple times and losing in the fashion that they did. One of which was when you were the number one seed. You cannot have that. And you cannot continue to sit there and say, no, we thought it was a success because of whatever your internal goal was. When you look at your basketball team, where many said it should be at least in the Eastern Conference Finals, not just because of the second round exits in the past, but because of the fact that the teams were built as such to win and advance to the Eastern Conference Finals and compete with the other top teams in the East. So for him to continue to say that, I do have a problem with that, because that still smells of I just don't. I am stuck on what I believe and not hearing what the fan base is saying. The second round exits, that's terrible at this stage. Terrible. If they got to the playoffs this year and lost into the second round and it was a competitive series again, Sixers fans would be furious because it's a pattern that continues to go on and on and on without seeing any improvement whatsoever of advancing past that spot. So that's where I have an issue with Morey. Have said as much. They know it. The organization knows it. And I have no problem continuing saying that very thing. You cannot continue to say second round exits are a success. You cannot. There are things that happens, yes. Injuries, you fight through it. You somehow miraculously get past the first round when you weren't supposed to and win. No, that did not happen in any of these. There were early second round exits where we said, okay, it's early. They're learning. Well, you've had a number of players, and that game 6, a lot of people bring up game 7 against Boston. That game 6 sticks with me, man. Sticks with me because that one was awful.
It's one of the most
awful.
One of the biggest missed opportunities.
It was a low-scoring game on your home floor where, yes, their best player goes off in the final 5 minutes. But before that, even in a low-scoring game, you had ample opportunity to extend that to at least 7. Put up like a 7-point lead, Rich, instead of a tie ball game at the 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter. You might win it. You might even force the overtime if Jason Tatum gets hot. So to say that, surprised that more people weren't upset about the first round exit, no. Your best player was playing on one leg. And people were upset, yes, because of the mere fact that what had happened before was that, hey, the officials screwed up game 1. All those things that we pointed out in those games, all those things were real. But that game 6 sticks with me. And for him to continue to say, and I always hate, too, when you do it on a national stage like that, because it draws more eyes. Yeah. It's one thing to do it here and it doesn't get picked up elsewhere. Yeah. You do it on a national stage and you still make Sixer fans or Philadelphia fans look bad in that way. Again, it's just a 1-minute clip that you were talking about. I didn't read it. I didn't see it.
I'm reading it. It's basically what I said.
So again, Rich, I don't like that. I don't like that.
Well, he said, and I think he was trying to make a greater point and he was expressing surprise. I would say 2 things. Number one, to your point, context matters, right?
Big time.
And that team last year, I think, achieved to the level they should have, especially because Joe was, he wasn't as compromised as this year, but he was really dragging that leg up and down the court. And it was, it was an entertaining series. They came up short, but that team the year before, they had more talent, which is exactly why the Atlanta series, that is the biggest missed opportunity. Like, not all second round exits are created equally. I would say the year before, the year in between those two, the Miami loss, that was disappointing, right? But Joel didn't play those first 2 games, and Harden had just showed up like a couple months before. I think most people thought, all right. And I remember the tenor after that series was like, yeah, okay, they weren't ready yet for that one, which is why the Boston one was considered differently. But the biggest takeaway is, like, Daryl shouldn't be talking about Sixers fans right now, especially on a national stage. Like, even if he's just making what he thinks is like a harmless point of just like, they surprised me in the way that they reacted. Again, like, taking one line from a paragraph can be risky, but the idea that like anger just drives Sixers like fans, like, Daryl, come on, man. Like, this is a really bad season, and it's the team you put together. So come on.
Read the room.
Come on.
And that's the wrong room at Sloan to be reading the room. Read this room here
I agree
in Philadelphia.
100%.
All right, let's get to the arena and to that room where Kyle Neubeck is joining us live from the arena, from that room of winners, Kyle, as they beat the Utah Jazz 126-122. And to put it how Kyle basically said it on his tweet when he put out his recap, Sixers even, don't even know how to do this, but they got it done, Kyle.
A devastating win for the tank, Devon and Rich. And honestly, it looked like they were going to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory there for a moment. But I think what you run into in these circumstances, which is you can't ask the players on the floor to tank, and you can't ask the coaching staff who's, trying to coach the team to, in the final seconds, be like, hey, we're not going to challenge this obviously wrong call that might help us win the game, right? Because then it would become like, we'd be sitting here in the press room saying, so why didn't you challenge that obviously wrong call, Nick? And he would have had to make up some ridiculous lie. And like, so look, I think that what you hold on to is another good game for Quentin Grimes. Very good game. One of probably Adem Bona's best game that he's played in a Sixers uniform. And, Lonnie Walker looks like he's coming around and finally playing some productive basketball after a rough start to his Sixers tenure. He talked a little bit tonight about the jet lag that he battled when he first got here. And, it was like a 7-hour time difference between where he was playing in Lithuania and Philadelphia. And so the rigors and challenges of that. So yeah, a few things that you can say, hey, that's nice. But yeah, I know right now there are a lot of people who just don't want to hear that. Just like Devon and Rich, you guys were saying, they don't want to hear from Daryl Morey right now. At least not at Sloan. Maybe in another capacity, but not talking about their anger.
So real fast, since we were just talking about that, Kyle, I'm sure you know about that quote and all about how Sixer fans, what did you say, Rich? They live off of
like anger fuels them or something.
Anger fuels them, Kyle. And again, we just went on a rant about it, but just to get your thoughts since we were just talking about it.
So I think if you strip away some of that language, like the anger and the other, I won't say the name of the person who I'm thinking of when he's talking about, some are saying it's the most entertaining series of the playoffs. And maybe you guys can connect some dots there that we won't make on this show. I do think there's some truth in what he said about, I think that Celtics loss is much more infuriating and impactful because of, the opportunity they had in game 6, the way they lost in game 7. I think last year they really didn't have a reasonable chance to contend with Joel missing half the season and all that stuff. But I ultimately, I agree with you guys, right? Like, people just don't want to hear anything negative about the fans right now, right? Yeah. Like, you guys 100%. Have had one of the most disappointing seasons in recent Philadelphia sports history. Like, I would say in the last 25 years or so, it's like this season, the Dream Team Eagles season, and maybe one or two more, but I think those are the two that really stand out in my mind. Maybe you could argue for the Eagles season, the way it ended the year before this Super Bowl run, but that also at least had like a fun start. Same with the Horford year. I just don't think you want to be getting into a place right now where I don't think it's necessarily a shot at fans, but it's perceived as one. It comes off as one. And when you're in a spot where I think the organization is, they're cornered to some extent, right? Like you just need to take your lumps and say, like, we screwed up. Like, this is a terrible season. We're not as good as we need to be, and blah, blah, blah. Like, once you get into trying to turn everything into a quant analysis and like, oh, well, we had X% chance to win and X% to do, it's like, well, it doesn't matter. You didn't win, and people are pissed off and they're looking for people to blame. And guess who they're going to blame? The guy who's telling them that they're angry, the guy who's telling them that, oh, you guys are being irrational or whatever. Well, even if they're being irrational, you got to know better than to call them out for being irrational. That's being a sports fan. That's part of what we do, right? Is we channel these emotions and we talk through it all together. So I don't think they're comments that are on paper a huge deal, but I do think it is a complete misreading of like where things stand right now.
By the way, when you talk about the fans, to your point, you brought this up the other day. Season ticket renewals are out there right now. They're not going to be thrilled to go throw their money out there when you're attacking the fans in that way.
No, I mean, people, I think you guys know, I think people are already at the point of, hey, I'll check back in with the Sixers when you guys prove something to me, right? Like we have our diehards who are here, and we have our regulars who are like, they live and die and say, I'm going to watch every game regardless. But there is a big contingent of people who they're only tuning in when they have good feelings about the team, and they're not doing a good job on any level of promoting and creating good feelings in this fan base right now.
To psychoanalyze fans on a national stage, even if you think it's hard, just don't do it. It's like the Paul George faux pas machine, right? Just don't do it, Paul. Just just relax. Let that one go. Completely agree with that, Kyle. I guess let's talk about the game a little bit. It's funny. You would think that because they played Quentin Grimes and Kelly Oubre and all these guys, that would be the reason they beat the Jazz. But when you look at the game, they kind of won because they kept rolling with that bench lineup after that first quarter. So I guess the guy we were talking about the most, we were talking about two. We were talking about Lonnie Walker, but the guy that I am most curious about, Kyle, is Bona. What did you see from him tonight? And I think it would be nice to see more of that over these last 20 games.
Yeah. So number one, what you saw was not Andre Drummond. And this was, I don't blame Drum tonight. He was sick and they decided to sit him in halftime because wasn't feeling great. So I get it. Him not being able to run around and defend Filipowski out to the 3-point line, it happens. But so Adem comes in and he immediately gives you a live body. Like he is an incredible athlete and he plays super, super hard. But I think just as important as that stuff is, I think he's learning the little intricacies and the nuances of, I would say, offense specifically, because he came in with a reputation of like, this guy can't even catch the ball, right? Like you can't ask him to run a dribble handoff or whatever. And I think as time has gone on, you can see he's doing a better job of, this is like really granular, but the exact time when to slip a screen, right? Like waiting long enough to make contact, but also get free so that you have a potential lob opportunity or layup, dunk, whatever it might be. And I think he's done a better job of that. Some of that is because he's been, and I've seen some of it, he's been really open to instruction. When Reggie Jackson was still here, he actually was talking through this with Adem one night after a game, was like, hey, I'll come in with you and we can work on like, hey, this is when it, like if I'm the ball handler, this is when I want you to go, and I'll run through some stuff like this from you. And I think you're starting to see that as time goes on. Like it's not as much I'm getting to the screener, but then I'm just taking off, because he knows like, hey, I'm going to outrun a lot of guys, right? Like he's got great speed at that position because he's not super big. So he's taken better advantage of that. And then one thing that Nick Nurse spotlighted that I thought was, the right thing to point out, he's a really capable switch defender for a young big, right? Like a guy who can step out and defend guards. And like Utah's guards a little easier to defend and push in the right direction because You don't really trust them as shooters, so you can play back and force them to their weak hand a little bit. But I think he did a nice job tonight of doing that, right? Like just funneling guys where he wanted them to go, waiting until they're about to take the layup and blocking the shot. So really impressive performance for him, albeit against a young and really bad Utah team. But you can see the growth happening in front of us. And, with so few other things to hone in on right now, I think watching a Dem grow over this last month or so be something interesting to watch.
All right. Well, listen, man, thanks. Appreciate you stepping in. Of course, as always, giving us the update from the arena. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock tomorrow for our pregame as the Sixers take on the Hawks from Atlanta. Kyle, thanks so much, man. As always, we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, gang. Get home safe.
Appreciate it. You too, man. Make sure you go read Kyle at allphly.com to check out his recap, see what he has to say in the written form, and become a diehard member when you get in there as well, if you are not already. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come right back. We'll get ready to wrap things up here. We still have a lot to talk about, but we do have to get our break in here as we went on that rant about Daryl Morey. Final score tonight, 126-122. Sixers win, 22nd of the season. And we'll be back right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365.
And Devon, let's start talking about our friends at Shady Rays. It is never too early to start thinking about the summer. Hey,
it was sunny today, man.
Today, I mean, you got daylight savings, you got this week, the weather's looking up, so I think everybody's excited about that. And our friends at Shady Rays are helping you get in the right frame of mind with their premium polarized shades that will not break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product. It's rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people, and their sunglasses have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. Shady Rays would come in handy if you're planning a trip to, spring training, but soon you're not even going to have to plan a trip, right? You're going to walk outside in Philadelphia and it's going to be sunny and warm, and the Sixer season's going to be over, and it's going to be great. And they have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by their lost or broken replacement program. So if you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. PHLY viewers and listeners, go to shadyrays.com and save 35% off polarized sunglasses with code PHLY. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, so use code PHLY today at shadyrays.com.
And we just had him on. Kyle Two Phones. He was just on here. And of course, he is always talking about the good people from Mint Mobile. Yes, get the 2 phones like Kyle. I don't know about you, but I like keeping my money and where I can see it. Unfortunately, traditional, quote unquote, big wireless carriers also seem to like keeping our money too. If you're fed up with crazy high wireless bills, bogus fees, and free perks that actually cost more in the long run, it's time to switch to Mint Mobile. Say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at, count it, $15 a month. Someone I'm very close, very, very close to has been a Mint Mobile member for many, many years and had always talked to me about joining Mint Mobile. And it wasn't until we linked up with Mint Mobile that I decided to do so, even though they were right. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/Sixers. That's mintmobile.com/Sixers. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, 5 gigabyte plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for the first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. What up, Ryan? Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Yes. All right, let's do a tank update here from last night, just on Tank Watch. as none of them really mattered tonight. Didn't really matter tonight what was going on. New Orleans played.
Oh, there was good games today.
Yeah, exactly. Memphis beat New Orleans 107-104. Even though they had won some games, they were close in this one. Getting back into it. Sac is playing tonight. Portland actually losing to Detroit right now. And other than that, San Antonio did play Minnesota, but still probably too far away with San Antonio, especially when you lose and you keep pace with them. That said, Rich pointed out they're good games tonight. But last night, Rich, let's talk about it.
So Brooklyn had, what were they up, like 10 or something?
Yes.
Like late?
Yes.
And they lose to a Charlotte team that had a huge losing streak. That was a perfect chance for the Nets, who I think are going to lose pretty much every game they play.
And the Nets were up 10 with like 3 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
They going, what did Charlotte go on? Like a 12-0 run or something like that?
Some tough stuff from our guy Cam Thomas down the stretch.
Cam Thomas stuff.
Yeah, well, by definition, tough stuff. Okay, so that was one of them. And then the other one, the Washington Wizards win in Toronto, 118-117.
What are you doing?
I am not as worried about Toronto. I actually think Toronto
I agree.
is now that's a missed opportunity. Like you should beat the Wizards at home. I know the Wizards have Chris Middleton now. Poole had a big night last night.
Marcus Smart is there.
They have a little bit of more of a veteran presence, a little bit more, I don't know, just like a know how to win type of team. So that one is tough. I did not see a lot of that one. Sixers are going to play Toronto this week in Toronto. I think that is the big one.
That's a huge one.
That's a big one because you can reel them right back in. But I just look at their players, right? Quickly did not play in that game last night. That's a big deal. Like when Quickly plays, they tend to beat a lot of these bad teams, including the Sixers. But when they have Barnes, they have Barrett, they have Podol, like they should have enough. But yeah, it's been a tough 2 days for the Tank Watch. But I will say, everybody, long way to go. 20 games left.
Chicago, though. Josh Giddey, man. Josh Giddey. Fantastic. He's been on a tear for the last 10 games, to be perfectly honest with you. No kidding aside. He's been on all kidding aside, he's been on a tear. But Josh Giddey and the Bulls won yesterday. So
3.5 up on the Sixers, even with the Sixers win today.
Yep. So there's that. Now here's the good thing about Toronto. We told you this when we were giving out the schedule last week. The Sixers, as Rich just pointed out, they play them on Wednesday in Toronto. Monday tomorrow. While the Sixers are playing the Hawks, the Toronto Raptors will be playing again the Washington Wizards at home.
Come on.
All right?
Come on, Raps.
Okay?
Don't get swept at home by the Wizards.
Right. But here's the other thing to your point about Washington. Then they go on the road for 4. Utah, who we saw tonight, at Portland, at Phoenix, at Golden State. Phoenix is still trying to win. Golden State is playing some good basketball.
That's like 1.5 chances. Yeah.
There you go. So Tank Watch.
So Attila says, and thank you. I did not know this. He said that
I did know this.
That they benched all their players down the stretch at the end of that game. Well, they're thinking.
And they got
their thinking caps.
They had like good stat lines too, right, Attila? You had Barnes had good numbers. These guys were sitting on the bench with good stat lines. Raptors knew what they were doing. Hey,
the wars are on.
They did exactly what they were supposed to do. The Tank Wars are on, man. Let's give a spin tonight. Our daily spin. It's going to be Rich and it's going to be Derek. Every show, daily spin. What do you have tonight for the daily spin?
So coming from the
Tankathon,
coming from the 7th spot, which we don't want them in the 7th spot.
Still in the 7th spot.
Number 4.
Whoa!
Take a look. Number 4.
I can say that is accurate. Is number 4 tonight? Where you going? Number 4.
Who's going 1 to 3?
Flag, Harper. Ooh. Bailey goes 3.
I'm gonna go Edgecombe.
Gonna go Edgecombe?
Yeah.
If Edgecombe goes 3?
Yeah, I gotta watch more Bailey. I don't like guys who don't pass, but
yeah.
But obviously he's very talented. I understand that part of it. Trey Johnson could be somebody who you look at there too.
I am a big fan when we get to the Trey Johnson conversation, Rich. I may be in the minority. I mean, of course, the NBA people like him because he's in that top 6, top 7 right there and could could sneak into that 5.
You know,
That guy, man, he can score and he can pass when he wants to.
You know what's pretty wild? There's a lottery pick playing in this city right now that nobody, I don't think, really knows.
And I was supposed to go to the game the other day,
Yeah.
and it was that night that it was raining all crazy, and I was like, I'm not going.
There's a lottery pick, and the guy I'm talking about is St. Joe's swingman Rasheer Fleming,
who doesn't get all the buzz.
No,
but he's the lottery pick.
No, they have a guy, Eric Reynolds, and Xavier Brown from Roman too.
Yeah.
Two guards who do all the scoring. Eric Reynolds just broke Jameer Nelson's record. Congrats to him. But their swingman, they have like a 6'8", 6'9", small forward, do it all type guy who is getting lottery level buzz playing for the St. Joe's Hawks right now. I thought everybody should know that. Sixers aren't going to pick him because if they have a pick, they'll probably get somebody higher rated than him. I just wanted to point that out to everybody.
Yes. And look, kind of it wasn't really out of nowhere, but it came out of nowhere where he really just shot up the charts to become a lottery pick.
He was in like December. I was looking at ESPN and a few other of the draft sites. He was considered like a late first round pick. He's moved up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Reynolds is the one. Reynolds was the one that was getting all the preseason buzz as the scorer. Of course, Xavier Brown for what he did as a rookie, as a freshman, and coming back this year. A lot of buzz for the backcourt, more so than anything.
Well, they score, but
they score.
This guy gets the buzz because he's projectable player.
He's
right?
translatable to the league for what they like to do. Absolutely. So good luck to him. I mean, look, we're just going to call it for what it is. We're going to let everybody know, especially if the Sixers are able to get and keep that top 6 pick. We're going to have Justin Scott on, the assistant coach. I think it is assistant coach for the St. Joe's Hawks. We'll have Justin on at some point to kind of talk about Fleming, some of the other players that are going there that he may have seen, and just in general of what they look like. So we'll get Jay
St.
Scott
Joe's
on.
Make the tournament. Somebody from the city make the tournament, and I think you're our best hope. So please do it.
No,
very talented team.
It is the best hope.
Yeah, they're a very talented team, but they have to win the A10. Please, guys, come on, you can do it.
Have to. Come on. I mean, come on, man. Come on.
Were you always like that? You just liked all 5 or 6 teams? Yeah, I was always like that. You know, I had friends who were big Villanova or St. Joe's people. I just like all of them.
I only went heavy when Kel was at Villanova.
Sure.
For obvious reasons. But when we're from the city, they were all good anyway.
Yeah.
Everybody get in and everybody make a run. Go win your conference tournament and then go make a run.
So I would always root, too, for the team that had kind of a higher ceiling in the tournament. I wouldn't root for the upsets. So you talking about even for the local teams? No, when they would play each other. So,
So
the ones I'm telling you is like 2004 when Villanova played St. Joe's and they had Jameer and Delonte. I was like, I want St. Joe's to win. That would hurt their seed.
100%.
But then 2006 when they had Kyle Lowry and Villanova and Randy Foy and all those guys, I was rooting for Nova to win that
Absolutely. Game. Yeah. I mean, because that was
great.
always
a fair
the tough
weather
part.
local college basketball fan, just like all the teams. It was great.
The tough part was always, damn, why did they have to match them up? Why did they have to match them up? But yeah, man, it's gonna be fun to see if St. Joe's can run through that A10 tournament and get in, and hopefully they do. And we'll talk about Fleming as things go along,
and we'll talk about a lot of the other picks: Flag, Edgecombe, these guys in the tourney. Baylor's a tourney team, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. The problem is Texas is like first 4 out.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
It's a lot of
Caz in Illinois. We got to see how that plays out.
Yeah. No, they'll be in. They beat somebody this week.
Yeah, they'll be in. So we'll see. But just to once again, let everybody know. Make sure you go sign up to become a diehard member at allphly.com to get all the written content from the guys and from all the shows, all the sports. And while everybody is here, 12 to 3 tomorrow, free agency gets underway. Stuff is already hitting the fan, man. A lot of stuff going on. Myles Garrett is off the market. Max Crosby off the market. So 12 to 3 tomorrow. Eagles, Bo, Zach, Fran, right here live on our feed to make sure that they are absolutely giving you the up-to-date things for the Birds and the NFL tomorrow. The PHLY Eagles show, free agent edition. And tomorrow's the early tampering. Wednesday is when things can become official in the NBA. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's
NFL,
that. Yeah. In the NFL, sorry. So thank you. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow because I know I will be. Let's get to our ace temperature check, as we have been doing since early last week. Take a look at our temperature check, who's heating up, who's cooling off with our Ace Hardware temp check. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. I think we talk about who's heating up tonight, and
I think it's Lonnie Walker.
we give it to Lonnie Walker tonight.
Especially because he had a very good game in Boston the other night.
That's very true.
So to stack those two in a row, player of the game, but also the guy who's heating up, and a guy who, he went from the first couple games, I was pretty disappointed in it. I was just like, oh yeah, he just might not have it anymore. But I think he has clearly showed that was rust, that was playing in Europe. Whatever you think about Lonnie Walker, like, he is an NBA player at some level. So I think he is clearly the guy who's given them some competency off the bench.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Rich on this one, that it is clearly Lonnie Walker because of the good game that he had against Boston, following it up tonight against Utah. After having a cooler first half, he really elevated his play with the 20 points in the second half. So for these games going forward, he's not going to give you 25. He's not going to give you 18 a night. But it's something that we've asked for from him, as Rich talked about, that he didn't look good. And we unfairly criticized him in that way of not giving full account to the travel, getting right back here and on the floor. He didn't have time. He got right on the floor and played for the Philadelphia 76ers. So for him to now start to find that rhythm as a shooter, because right when he got on the floor, I remember the first game, he was the first sub off the bench at the guard wing position for Nick Nurse.
And then he didn't play the second half.
And he didn't play the second half.
The first half was so bad.
Because he was bad. He couldn't shoot. Now, as you pointed out, when he's catching and lining up from behind the three-point line as a catch-and-shoot option, you think it's going in. And as a person who most likely, minus Nona and Val and Jeannie, they want them to win. Fair.
It's fine. I'm not going to tell people that.
No, absolutely not. For most of the people who want them to lose, you're like, yeah, Lonnie's going to knock this one down. So, and it's going to continue to run. But
it is funny to see for the people who want them to lose, which I also completely understand as well. The shifting allegiances, right? Like, Lonnie was the tank commander for those first few games. Play Lonnie more, and now it's, oh man, Lonnie's getting buckets right now.
Lonnie's getting buckets. So for the greater good of the Lonnie Walker experience in the Sixers uniform, not just this season, but maybe translating to next season for what he could be as a reserve player in the rotation.
Got him under contract for next year.
For the Sixers, this is good. This is really good to see that Lonnie Walker is doing this. So to see that with Quentin Grimes and some of the others, where he's playing the way that it is, and again, you want Grimes back, you want Lonnie Walker back, and they're going to most likely be, Grimes could start, Lonnie Walker's coming off the bench, but Grimes could also come off the bench. You want to see these two guys really play at a really, really solid level, and you're seeing that from Lonnie Walker right now. So Lonnie Walker tonight, for the first time, he gets player of the game, and he gets our heating up temperature check with Ace Hardware award winner tonight. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. So Lonnie Walker, congrats to you, man. You're taking all the awards tonight. Lonnie, clean sweep. Let's see what you do tomorrow against the Atlanta Hawks. I expect him to be one that shows up against the Hawks tomorrow night. Absolutely.
A lot of hardware for Lonnie.
No, we're not hard on, we're not tough on people. We're not tough on people. We're not. No, we're analyzing the game.
Come on.
And we love the fact that you guys want them to win. We were excited for more wins too until things flipped and changed. So that's where we are right now. It's a little bit different. All right, let's get to our
world famous
roll call. Let's say goodbye to everybody. And absolutely got to say goodbye to our girl Nona in the chat. What up, Nona? All right. Want to make sure that we shout out right away our super chatter, who tonight was Jay Flo. We appreciate you, Jay, with a great question about Daryl Morey. And you better love somebody, love somebody, love somebody. What up, Yams?
Yams?
With another name, always adjusting the name of NGO tonight. What up, Yams?
What up, Yams?
Agavini,
Fusion, Phi Chi, what up? Rich P, Mellow 3-pointer, Kyle Wright. Hey, Val, we see you as always. And Kamel, Jeannie, Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beast. Jay of the Jungle gets the mandatory along with What Up, Al? You get the mandatory What Up here in the chat. Art, Zach Engelstein in there. What up, Zach?
What up, Zach?
Boots.
What up,
See
Boots?
you in there. Randy, Flavio, Joaquin, Jess is in there. Apparently Jess went to the game. I saw Nona say Jess went to the game. Hope Jess had a good time at the game. Noob, we also had tonight Adam Butt back in the chat. We got John Peace. What up, Peace? Blue Flags, Hinky, Babor, Scott Sotan. What up, Scott?
What up,
PHLY guy, Vic. We already said Boots. A-Rhyme. What up, Aaron? Neil Deaver. We said Val. We mentioned Val. Throw him up. What up, X? Always good to see you, X. Prophet One, SB Cole, Remo K. Randy, and Frank C. We thank you all for hanging out with us here tonight. As always, make sure you go like and subscribe to the show. When you do, hit the bell icon so you also get the alert that it is showtime right here on the PHLY Sixers show, whether it's the pregame, postgame, or a daily 3 p.m. get-together with all of you. Thank you to super producer Bree, always fantastic with the production excellence. Thank you to Kyle for joining us from the arena. Derek has given up on us. He no longer wants to be with us on the show.
He really doesn't want to be seen.
Not unless
Just booking it out.
he
of
has
that
to do
arena
a pre or
every
post
night.
game for a road game and a daily 3 p.m. show. So for that, we will be back tomorrow starting at 7 o'clock for the pregame show for the Sixers and the Hawks. And Rich will be back a little bit later in the week here Friday on the show for a home game. So we want to make sure we say thanks to our Bet365 sponsor. Make sure you download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help. Bet365 is always never ordinary. All right, everybody have a great rest of your night. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on a Sunday night. Enjoy the warm weather tomorrow, and then we'll be back together tomorrow starting at 7 o'clock for the pregame show for Sixers Hawks. Enjoy tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Be safe. Thanks for hanging out with us as always.
See you guys.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.